Southern California continues to battle high rates of homelessness. In part one of his sit-down interview, One America's Stefan Kleinhenz spoke with HUD Secretary Ben Carson to learn more about the root causes of this issue.
All right, Dr. Carson, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So many people struggle to understand the severity of the homeless crisis, particularly in Los Angeles. You were there recently with the president. Can you describe what you saw from the poverty to the homeless encampments to just the overall struggle of the people?
Well, I'll tell you, it is a very emotionally disturbing situation to walk down those streets and see your fellow American citizens with hollowed out eyes and a look of hopelessness and desperation. And with all of their earthly belongings in many cases on the street. In many cases they have some mental issues going on. I spoke with the CEO of the American Psychiatric Association and some of his colleagues to get their take on the implications of having so many mentally ill people on the streets and what could be done about it. They indicated that a lot of those people actually could be managed on an outpatient basis, but they have to be in a setting, obviously, that would be conducive to that. And being on the street like that is not. And I was particularly alarmed at the unsanitary conditions that people are staying in. Those are the kinds of things that can foster an epidemic, and then we really have a crisis on our hands. So it tells you that we can't just sit there and shake our heads and say, oh, that's too bad. We obviously are going to have to do something about it.
So with your background in the medical field and now your work here as a secretary, how do you tackle specifically the issue of mental health in this crisis as a whole? Well,
obviously you have to be compassionate. 40 years ago, we thought we were being compassionate when we kicked all the mentally ill people out of the state institutions. And in some cases that was justified because some of those institutions were not good places, but some of them were. And some of the people really don't have the ability to take care of themselves. So, the real answer is being able to find a place where they can have permanent supportive type housing with the wraparound services so that their condition can be appropriately diagnosed and treated. Whether they have mental illness or not, a lot of people do need some help in life, help in identifying opportunities to get training, to get jobs. They obviously need a permanent address if they're going to get a permanent job. So all of those are things that can be helped with, but there's an underlying problem, and that is cost. Because in the areas where you have the greatest amount of homelessness, particularly places like Los Angeles, you have the highest prices. And why are the prices so high? Because of all the regulatory barriers, zoning restrictions. I certainly believe in the appropriate regulations, but what we've done over the years, instead of coming up with a better ideal and a better regulation to solve the problem, is just added one on top of another. So to get from point A to point B, instead of going to a straight line, you go through a labyrinth, each limb of which cost. And when it comes to unsheltered housing, homelessness, 47% of the unsheltered homeless people in this country are in California. 19% of them in one city, Los Angeles. So it tells you that there's a real problem. And if you were to extract, California from the equation, the number of homeless would be going down.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.